desert as the shepherd lands, the irony really of shepherd lands also being a place of death simply because of the harshness of the environment. Part of that shepherding is the apparent desolation or the apparent emptiness of the landscape, so that when there is quiet, we experience something that is particularly important. Due to there not being any trees out here, no buildings, no society, and so when we're reading of the desert in the Hebrew Bible as the midbar, yes, midbar means shepherd land, but it is a play on words also, and is used as a play on words with the Hebrew word to speak, ledaber. Ledaber, davar, word, midbar, a place of words, a place of speaking. And so that you can only really understand that when you're out here. And if I was to sit here and you would go across to that hilltop, I'm sure we could have a conversation, because there's nothing to come in between to interfere with the movement of the sound across from here to there. There's therefore a place where we can hear. Chapter 6 of Exodus, we are in the house of bondage. In Egypt, God speaks to the people of Israel wonderful words of deliverance and hope and freedom and new life. And yet it says, when God's done speaking, that Israel could not hear God because of their hard labor and their short breath. They couldn't hear God. So, therefore, the story goes on, and eventually God brings forth the fulfillment of His word of promise. And He brings them out of the land of Egypt, the house of bondage, this place that we were not able to hear God's voice. And He brings us into the midbar, into the desert, in the midbar. And there He speaks again, and this time we can hear. Not only do we hear, but we enter into covenant. Therefore, the midbar becoming a place of revelation. Now when God speaks, He's always speaking, but this time when He speaks, we can hear, whereas previously we couldn't. What's out here can die if it doesn't know how to be out here. Therefore, what we bring with us can be cleansed from us if it doesn't belong to us. As a creation of God created in His likeness, whatever we carry with us that is not of His likeness will die out here, and we can be cleansed of it if we follow Him as our shepherd. But part of that process is the midbar, ledaber, davar aspect, the word aspect. Because now that we're in the isolation and in the quiet, the question is what do you hear in the silence? You do know that there is life out here, just those beautiful birds. There is life out here. Coming from an urban civilization, coming from Egypt, coming from Tel Aviv, you come out here as a, man, this place is empty, this place is desolate, this place is death. There's nothing here, it's dead boring. There's no life out here. Well, there's our eyes conditioned by our urban civilization that is of a sort that can potentially prevent you from hearing when God speaks. But when you're coming out here and you're able to enter into the landscape and you slow down and you start to hear, oh, there is life out here. You start to see those plants. You start to see what does grow and how does it grow. Right? There is life out here. And the question is can I see it? More than that, what else do we hear when we are in the quiet? Very comfortable in our urban centers because we can enjoy a cup of coffee, we can go to do whatever distraction that we love. So we never have to really deal with the voice inside. There's a voice that has been planted in there since my days of youth, since my earliest years. How I've learned to see myself from the voices of my parents. You know, you're a failure, you never amount to anything, you're so stupid, you're so weak, what's wrong with you? You know, you idiot, whatever kind of negative voices that may have been uttered from that house of bondage, that may have been the case growing up. And we carry with us, and if I was to see it, I'm not necessarily going to be quite happy with that. And therefore we can find distractions from those voices. But out here, no more coffee shops, no more distractions, no more places to hide behind. And therefore, I'm forced to deal with it. And if I don't have God as my shepherd to deal with it, I might literally go mad, go crazy out here, and go insane. Alone in this isolation, but as God as my shepherd, when I am walked into this environment on paths of righteousness, then my nephesh is revived. So from a corrupt human being, meaning you look at a human being and you don't see who created him, to you look at now at this nephesh has been revived, and you can see, he's reflecting the likeness of his creator. And so this is this place of hearing, revelation, a place where you hear God's voice and can become a restored, full human being, as I already am in Messiah. Because I'm delivered, I'm redeemed, I'm brought out of Egypt. He brings us here after he delivers and redeems us and brings us into salvation. But do I realize it? Do I live it? The immersion into the desert. You have to leave Egypt through the Red Sea, through the waters. It's an immersion. Being out here in the desert, I feel very personally that it is one of the most real ways of connecting to the personal experience of Yeshua, because it's in the Judean wilderness that he will be immersed in after he comes up from the Jordan River mikveh. So Yeshua goes into the Jordan River. After that, he's led by the Spirit into this landscape, into the Judean desert. And so as he is immersed for 40 days, 40 nights in this landscape, just as Moses was for 40 days and 40 nights, wow. We are therefore taking a moment to really be in the environment and experience that was his environment and experience that he needed to inhabit in order to come to a place where he would be hungry. And now that he's hungry, both physically, metaphorically, he's in a place where now the voice can tempt him to sin, to be self-serving as opposed to serving God. Turn these stones to bread. Throw yourself down. Now, let them catch you and let everybody see your glory. Serve me and I'll give you everything. So will you be self-serving? Will you stay to the course, serve the kingdom, serve God, fulfilling your purpose? And he doesn't get there unless he's hungry. And he doesn't get hungry unless he's here for 40 days. So he does not become the Messiah in action unless he's first immersed in the desert. if I lose my life, let go of it, I can discover it. Here is when that can become a tangible beginning point. If I'm willing to let go of how I live and how I perceive to be the truth of my personality, the character that I have created to present to the world, to be known by the world. If I'm willing to put that to the test out here and let go, I might discover the truth of who I've been created to be, which is eternal. Because then I will be in delight, and the river will flow. People will then be healed. The point is to not stay here. The point is to go back. But people won't be healed unless I am healed. So Yeshuvav nafshi. My nefesh will be turned around. My nefesh will be revived. So if I know the Lord to be my shepherd, leading me into this place. If I can see that it is truth about Yeshua, and if he dwells in us, it is truth about us too. And it is not meant to just be only him, but his life in and through us. So we don't need to wait for the future. It can become present reality in his image. And that's how perhaps we get to the future. I find personally that this process of being in the midbar, what the shepherd wants to give to us, it's going on until we're done.
Yeah.
When I listen to people that have the wrong idea, a wilderness experience is not a time where God is silent and I don't know where he is. And I feel abandoned, I feel rejected, I feel alone. That's a land of Egypt experience. That's a house of bondage experience. I came here. Being out here is where, yeah, I am hearing. It is revelation, and it is painful. And maybe I want to go back. Maybe I don't want to go forward. But it is a place of beauty and romance. And as long as it takes for that romance to be accomplished, we will be out here. It doesn't matter if I'm in Iraq, doesn't matter if I'm back in England. The wisdom is in the landscape. The landscape is the teacher, with God, or the classroom, with God being the teacher. But it's through the landscape, it's through this classroom, and we are discipled. But again, it's going to be going on and happening whether we're here or not, because we're following him in faith.
Yeah.
If we're in faith and in that life and process, it's going to be happening because we're alive.
Yeah.
So as long as we're alive, that's happening. It's just that this helps, that's all.
Yeah.
The land itself helps to maybe speed that process on along a bit. Naaseh v'nishma. We will do, and we will hear, we will understand.
Right.
All right? That is fundamental. Because we receive it out here in the desert, but then we're going to go back. We're going to go into the land, we're going to go back into England, wherever we're coming, right? And we're going to live the commandments. And they will continue to teach us, continue to train us. As we live them, we will be trained by them. And so we carry it with us, and that helps us to stay the path of transformation, transfiguration. I believe we have that essence in us.
Yeah.
Because we've been rebirthed. The essence is present.
Yeah.
The matter really is have I tasted what is internally true? And that can be a really exciting beginning point of a trajectory. Being here can help taste, can help begin that trajectory.
Yeah.
And once one person is inhabiting that truth, then other people can taste it, because not everybody's going to come here. But they can experience through those who have taken the journey, and can spark that same revival within other people's hearts. For those who will not be taking the physical, actual journey, they can taste and see through those who have. And then maybe they will take the journey too.
Yeah.